I think there are a variety of challenges. One of them is, for me, is definitely the social resistance of some parts of the society against the goals of the Green Deal. It is very difficult to convince everybody that it is something that we want to achieve. We already see resistance today, for example, with wind turbines in some parts of Europe with the transition to electromobility. And in my view, this will be even more tension when we progress in trying to achieve the goals of the Green Deal, and when maybe more adjustments in personal lifestyle are required. The second hurdle, or one second hurdle, is the lacking economic competitiveness of green solution, so that today it's often not financially viable for companies to change to solutions that are more climate friendly, and here in the future probably more policy incentives will be needed to counteract that. And finally, a third big hurdle I see is actually the resource availability to implement and deploy the green technologies. I think everybody has their own contributions to make from their viewpoint, and in my view it's especially important that these different stakeholder groups collaborate in order also for industry to really ingrain climate-friendly practices in their goals, so that it's not only in the end sustainability reports, but that they really have consulted with research and affected stakeholders on how to achieve more climate-friendly practice. As an example, to gain a social license to operate, it's not possible just to make a plan, but you really have to interact with the latest research that tells you where people can be affected, and also with the people that are actually affected. I think that plays a very important role. I understand that for the individual this is sometimes not very obvious, because if you see that big companies are emitting millions of tons of CO2, your choice whether you buy a new smartphone or whether you look on this sustainably mined seems very, very minor. But I think we still have to be aware that in a democracy, the voter is the ultimate political power. In a capitalist society, the consumer is the ultimate power who in the end steers the market. And I think we should all be much more aware of that power we actually have. I think in some regards we are, in others we are not. It's three things I would like to especially highlight where more action is needed. One is the transition to a circular economy. I think we're really just in its infancy, the circular economy at the moment, and we're not at a good point there, and much more incentives are needed, much more innovation is needed, much more courage to actually try something new and implement new business models, and also more work on consumer acceptance. Then another thing that is worrying, I think, is the energy crisis, especially that was especially caused by the war of Russia against the Ukraine, where now some member states react by investing again more in fossil fuels that could actually delay decarbonization in the long term. A third hurdle that could appear is we see today in Europe hardening fronts between political camps, between member states but also within member states, and there's a politicization of questions regarding decarbonization, and there's a certain danger that these could even harden more in the future, and with that impede that we achieve the goals of the Green Deal. I think younger people should be aware that the raw material sector is not, a bunch of old capitalists extracting the earth, or at least not anymore, but that it's a field where a lot of interesting questions come together. Technical questions, but also questions of the environment, policy questions, and especially questions of how we want to live together as a society in the future. So it's a field where you really can make a difference and where whatever you do can have a big impact. So I encourage everybody to consider working in the field.